A lot of parents are like, kids are acting up, they'll stick an iPad or something in front of them. Don't do that.
Yeah, with him right now, I'm learning him, trying to understand him, his likes, his dislikes. It's different from when he was younger than to what he's growing into right now. He's kind of going into that high school age. So it's just trying to understand him and how can I help him.
Going outside, honestly, like vitamin D is like, it's natural. So getting sunlight, I feel like makes everybody feel better.
I also do a lot of bilateral music with my daughter and box breathing, where it's you breathe for 4, hold for 4, release for 4. So it just tells your system to calm down because you can't work through anything until you're calm.
So we have a horse, and I would find time during the day where I could drop her off at the barn, and I would go run some errands, and I'd come pick her up. But I noticed her behavior was she would come in the car, hopping and skipping, and like, oh, hey, how's it go? And she would tell me all about it, and her demeanor and her overall being just was so much more positive.
But I found out if I go in their rooms and actually lay with them on the bed and kind of get a recap of the day, it's actually really helpful because for whatever reason they want to open up between 10 and 11 when I'm ready to shut down for the day.
Hi, I'm Georgia, and as a mom of 3 boys, I know how much we all worry about our kids. We worry about the big things like their safety and their health, and we worry about the little things like friendships or what they eat. These days, you might be worrying more and more about your kids being anxious and lonely. Loneliness is especially a red flag for mental health issues. In fact, a study confirmed that loneliness is heavily linked to depression and anxiety disorders. Not great news for many of us parents. So what practical steps can you take right now to help your kids feel more equipped to handle life's challenges? Here are 5 ways we can prevent anxiety and loneliness in childhood. Okay, let's start with a hot topic. There's no doubt that smartphones are part of our daily lives, but more and more studies are showing that they're linked to anxiety and loneliness in kids. One best-selling author believes that the rise in smartphone use and increase in mental health issues are undeniably related. He's not alone. Social psychologists argue that as smartphone and internet use increases, so does teen loneliness. So what to do? Experts suggest waiting until high school to give your child a smartphone. Controversial, I know, but I love this idea. Now, what if your child already has a smartphone? It's okay to change your mind. Child expert Dr. Becky Kennedy recommends explaining your decision with honesty. You can say, I know we used to say yes to this, and now we're saying no. I love you too much to not do something to help. Raise your hand if you've lost hours scrolling on social media. I've done it. Imagine how much harder it is for kids who don't yet have the emotional tools to manage it. Not to mention, being exposed to toxic online content or even cyberbullying has long-term consequences. And then there's anxiety and depression. Kids who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media are at double the risk of experiencing anxiety and depression symptoms. What should you consider doing? Experts say wait until they're at least 16 before allowing your kids on social media. When in doubt, wait. And if you're struggling with the everyone else is doing it argument, maybe team up with other close parents to establish shared rules so no one feels guilty or singled out. Getting kids off screens and outside isn't always easy, especially when they don't see other kids outside. But face-to-face interactions are crucial for their mental health. And it's not just for younger kids. Research has shown that teens who spend more time in group activities like team sports or clubs have better mental health compared to those who spend more time on social media. So whether it's encouraging your child to join a club, play a sport, or even have a friend over for a movie night, these in-person connections are so important to combating loneliness in childhood. So let's talk about ourselves for a moment. Raising healthy kids is more than limiting technology. It's evaluating how we parent. I'll admit, I've been overprotective with my kids, but I've learned that hovering too much or being overly involved can make kids feel more anxious. Research agrees. A study found that children with anxiety disorders were often raised by parents who were overprotective, harsh, or inconsistent in their parenting. And another leading expert says that competence is the antidote to anxiety. If we want our kids to feel competent, We need to give them the space to solve problems and make mistakes. Trust more, hover less. If your child is showing signs of being anxious and lonely, like withdrawing from friends, struggling to concentrate, or clinging to you, it might be time to talk to a mental health professional. There's no shame in asking for help. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what's going on, but you know your child best. Early intervention can make a big difference. Therapy can help your child feel less anxious and lonely and help them get back on track. Helping our kids thrive starts with recognizing the challenges they face and taking real action. To learn more about how you can help your kids overcome anxiety, visit the links in the video's description.